Part 101. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1007. Tao Ran and the others quickly found Tiger on a flying carpet, and then protected him from above the off-road vehicle to complete the material mission. The system doesn't allow cheating, but it can't control their hidden reminders. Their flying carpet is always inadvertently slightly faster than the off-road vehicle, hinting at the Tiger's approximate location of the supplies he needs. With the help of everyone, Tiger completed all the mining before sunset and drove himself to find Xiaoke. With Zhou Changyuan's reminder, the Tiger basically didn't take any wrong path. The system was hit by several natural and man-made disasters, but because Tao Ran's modified off-road vehicle was too strong, it didn't cause much impact. Before the sky completely darkened, Tiger finally arrived at the camp safely and submitted the task. He brought out water and biscuits for everyone to eat, but Tao Ran asked Dowdu to buy a table of food for her to welcome Tiger. Seeing the hot meal, Tiger patted his chest and said that the next journey was entirely up to the captain's command, and he was willing to go through fire and water. After drinking for 3 rounds, they also learned from the Tiger's mouth why Brother Xian led people to attack him. It turned out that the Tiger reached the 105th floor half a day earlier than the 3 people. But he was unlucky, and he only got a motorcycle as a means of transportation. Although it is cool and easy to drive, it is a mess when it comes to shipping supplies. Once the 2 bags were put in, the car would no longer fit. In this regard, the Tiger was helpless. He saw a newcomer on the ranking list, and after turning back, he met Brother Xian and the others. He offered to cooperate. Seeing that Tiger had good abilities, Brother Xian agreed. The 4-person team worked together to collect supplies for 2 hours. The cooperation was quite pleasant and they quickly became brothers. They loaded their cars with supplies. Tiger took Brother Xian on a motorcycle, and the others rode on a flying carpet, chatting and laughing as they marched together. Brother Xian mentioned that he has 3 brothers who have also passed the 100+ level. The strength of their 6-person team was good, and they said they would welcome Tiger to join if they have another team mission later. But Tiger refused almost without hesitation. Said that he already had teammates waiting for him at the front. In the past few days, Tiger had been in contact with Tao Ran and Zhou Chang. When Tao Ran arrived at the war zone, he secretly shouted on the World Channel, waiting for their original teammates to join. But Tiger hurriedly hurried along, eager to catch up with Tao Ran and the others. At this moment, he naturally had to refuse. But his rejection made Brother Xian not so happy, but also made him suspicious. Brother Xian watches the rankings every day. There are only 11 people in front of him. If nothing else happens, it must include the woman he hated so much and Xiao Wang's group, Tiger's teammates. It couldn't be them, right? So Brother Xian started his test. He asked Tiger whether the person waiting for him in front was an individual or a team. Tiger replies, team. Brother Xian secretly clenched his fists and asked with a smile, there was a beautiful young lady walking in front who helped me once. Are you from their team? Tiger said, there is indeed a beautiful girl in my team, and she is our captain, but I don't know if she is the person you mentioned. As soon as the sentence comes out, are you still running? Brother Xian immediately determined that this Tiger belonged to that woman. Tiger never dreamed that suddenly Brother Xian and the other 3 would go crazy, swung their weapons and started attacking him. Tiger was on the motorcycle at that time. Although the reaction power given by the hunter and the bonus gave him immediate judgment and avoided the dagger stabbed by Brother Xian from behind, his lower back was still scratched. Tiger was frightened and reacted very quickly. He drifted and threw Brother Xian away. Then, he was surrounded by 3 people. Brother Xian gave him away. Tell me the number of your captain, that woman, and I will let you go. Tiger took one look and realized that this girl was going to cause trouble to the captain. Although he is not a good person, there is one thing about him, loyalty and friendship. The captain had helped him, and he had to repay the favor. I heard that the captain even took the initiative to give up the bonus to Xiaoan and the others. It was even more impossible for him to betray such an interesting captain. So Tiger accelerated the motorcycle and sped off. From then on, it became a situation of one person running and three people chasing. Brother Xian and the other three warned him from behind. He had to come to this level half a day earlier than them, and the smoke might rise at any time. If he insists on helping that woman and not completing the task, it is likely that he will be eliminated. Threats were of no use to the tiger, but the enemy's pursuit quickly made it impossible for him to escape. The tiger could only abandon the car and rush into the stone forest, which was inaccessible to cars and easy to escape. After the guys from behind smashed his motorcycle, they also entered the stone forest to look for him. Relying on the cover of the stone forest, the tiger found a place to hide and asked Chao Ran for help. You all know what happened next. There were quite a few people with Brother Xian, and he said it seemed like a few brothers were also nearby. Don't be afraid, Zhou Chang patted Tiger on the shoulder. We have completed 1/3 of the task on the 107th floor, and they can't catch up. Our team will not accommodate them. They have to start anew, which is not easy. Although Brother Xian has been dealt with, we still have to be careful with his younger brothers in the future, Chao Ran warned. Also, let's keep an eye on the new guys on this floor when we have time. Those who arrive next should all be members of Brother Xian, right? At the dinner table, Tiger also brought a piece of news. The eagle informed him that George had been eliminated at the intelligence level. In the end, he failed to reach the 100th floor. Chao Ran sighed. Where is the eagle? Where is it? She only knew that Xiaoan, Huang Mao and Ma Xiaoyuan were all in danger along the way, hovering on the edge of elimination every time. It was for this reason that she gave out the bonus. At least let them go to the 100th floor, where they can experience the illusion of solving the problem before going back. Almost. He has already passed the 100th level. Chao Ran nodded. The war was about to begin. In order to recruit Tiger into the team, Chao Ran, Zhou Chang, Xiao Wang and others took Tiger on a mission for 2 days, allowing him to successfully complete the 500-point mission on the 106th floor the night before the war. Tiger joined the team, and Chao Ran asked Ajin to join the team, bringing the number of her team to 42 people. In the past 2 days, their people have been observing the rankings and the people who ask Xiao Ke to submit tasks. In short, they never saw Brother Xian again. Not surprisingly, Brother Xian should have been eliminated. Brother Xian's 2 escaped men arrived to submit the mission the night before yesterday. The other 3 people who met Brother Xian in the ring battle arrived yesterday. These people are all preparing for the 500-point mission on the 106th floor, so it should be difficult to make a difference tomorrow during the battle. So, very good. The war horn sounds. The number of both sides fighting in the military camp indeed exceeded 10,000. Chao Ran and the others belong to the Special Operations Group and do not need to follow Xiao Ke's large team, so they have already made other arrangements. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1008. The 2 armies were fighting. If Chao Ran and the others joined the army, they might not be able to capture many heads or prisoners, so they had to find another way. Their tentative plan is to sneak attack the enemy's base camp while the battle between the 2 sides is in full swing. Although we don't know how many enemies there are in total, after overwhelming tens of thousands of troops, the remaining troops must be limited. Most likely it will only be between a few hundred and 2,000. At that time, if the enemy has few people left in the camp, they will seize the opponent's base camp. The prisoners were taken away, and the supplies were taken away. They can also burn things that cannot be taken away. Chao Ran has already asked Xiao Ke. There is a point in destroying enemy supplies, but the number is relatively small. If the enemy camp has a large number of people, they have many ways to divert the tigers away from the mountain. At that time, as long as the enemy is divided into many and defeated one by one, he can also find a way to destroy the opponent's lair. To this end, they have prepared several plans. The smoke rises and the horn sounds. The two armies faced each other, and Taoran and the others also took action. Taoran's more than 40 people were divided into 3 parts. After the war started, Tiger, Zhou Chang and Sun Yang, who was good at long-range attacks, brought a few of the best NPCs as spies to quietly ambush near the enemy camp. As the main dispatcher, Taoran will temporarily lead the main force to guerrilla for a period of time, and then hide in the forest between the battlefield and the enemy camp. When the time comes, Zhou Chang and others will give the order to attack, and then lead the troops to attack the enemy. Base camp. Xiao Wang and Ah Zhong formed a team of 10 people to keep a lookout on several small roads in the rear, in case of changes, and to report and respond at any time. In this way, a plan that can be attacked, defended, advanced, or retreated is feasible no matter how you look at it. Just after the war started, it was not a good time for a sneak attack. Taoran was leading his men to pick up leaks at the edge of the battlefield, when he suddenly received a series of calls for help from Zhou Chang and Tiger. Somehow, they were discovered and subsequently attacked after they had laid a good ambush. It was said that the enemy was coming fiercely, and they were a little unable to withstand it. Taoran and others rushed to the rescue. However, something unexpected happened again. On the way, Taoran and the others encountered a group of enemy troops. The number of opponents is 3 times their number. The enemy attacked fiercely, and Taoran and the others were exhausted and found it difficult to break through. Everything is weird. Several of these players had superb fighting abilities and fought hard. The enemy troops soon turned into points on the tokens. But they discovered that another group of enemy troops came from nowhere, and the ratio of the number of enemies to ourselves became 3:1 again. There are endless enemies to kill, but Zhou Chang's call for help becomes more and more urgent. Seeing that he couldn't escape for a while, Taoran could only ask Xiao Wang and others from the mobile team to quickly go around the woods and rush to rescue Zhou Chang and others. Then, the situation got worse and worse. More and more enemy troops were attracted to this area. Taoran sent people to Xiaoke for help while trying to find a way to break out of the encirclement. If it was just her, she would have a way to escape, but she brought a large group of people with her. She is the captain, there is no way she can leave so many people here. Even if you try your best, you can't escape the loss of soldiers and generals. More than a quarter of an hour later, they broke open the encirclement. The reinforcements sent by Xiaoke arrived at this time. Half of the people Taoran led were injured. And she was eager to bring the remaining troops to rescue Zhou Chang, but just halfway through, she learned that Zhou Chang and others had escaped from the enemy camp and were returning to the camp. Not to mention that Zhou Chang and his party were all injured, one of the 3 NPCs he brought was also injured and one died. If Zhou Chang hadn't had such a flying carpet to help them escape from the crisis at the critical moment, I'm afraid all 3 of them would have been eliminated this time. Yes, according to the rules of the battlefield, each player's health is linked to elimination. If he dies on the battlefield, it is equivalent to elimination. When Xiao Wang arrived, the flying carpet used by Zhou Chang and others to escape had been shot with nearly 100 arrow holes by the enemy troops chasing after them on horseback below. It was crumbling and might fall at any time. Xiao Wang's troops were divided into 2 groups and attracted most of the enemy NPCs. The crisis of Zhou Chang and others was temporarily relieved. Ah Zhong drove Taoran's off-road vehicle and drove in and out of the enemy troops several times. Finally, he persisted until Xiao Wang and the others left behind the enemy troops and came back to meet them. Even so, almost all the NPCs brought by Xiao Wang were injured. After everyone gathered together, everyone was inevitably silent on the way back to the camp. Even before their operation began, They had already suffered such heavy losses. This not only means that the operation failed, but also that the next battle cannot be fought. Of the 31 NPCs recruited, 1 died and 5 were seriously injured. Only less than 10 of them could barely return to the battlefield. Among the 11 players, Zhou Chang was injured and basically said goodbye to this battle. Among the others, only Tao Ran, Xiao Wang and Ace Hong could still maintain 80% of their original combat effectiveness. It is somewhat unacceptable that such a good opportunity, after so many days of planning, failed before it even started. As Tao Ran walked, he felt increasingly unhappy. She quietly turned on her display screen and sent a message to Xiao Wang, who was at the end of the line. Xiao Wang, Tao Ran called him again in a high-pitched voice, "Go find General Xiao Ke, report our situation here to him, and ask him if he can recruit more team members for us." Xiao Wang was ordered to leave. 2 hours later, in the tent filled with the smell of medicine, Tao Ran finally waited for Xiao Wang to return. Thus ended the first day of the war. The night was dark, and most of the troops participating in the battle were stationed 10 miles away near the battlefield, so the camp seemed particularly quiet. Under the hazy moonlight, a dark shadow quietly emerged from a tent. After confirming that there was no one around, the black shadow quickly ran towards the woods a mile away. Behind a huge rock in the forest, a horse has been arranged here in advance. The man in black exhaled, took out a flashlight, held it in his mouth, and began to untie the reins from the tree. A gust of wind blew up, and with a guilty conscience, he suddenly heard a click in front of him, raised his head and looked into the forest, but found nothing. He thought he was suspicious, and just when he felt relieved, there was another horse neighing behind him. Glancing back, he saw under the flashlight light that the horse had raised its hoofs, and the hoofs were already very close to him. He was frightened and retreated. But that hoof came over and kicked him in the chest, kicking him far away. It was only then that he saw that sitting on the horse was their current captain. The man in black's head buzzed, his eyes filled with fear. He only had one thought: run. He turned around and ran, but after only taking 3 steps, he was blocked by Xiao Wang, who was holding his chest in front of him. Xiao Wang and Tao Ran each drew their swords. Without even using his hands, the man in black took the initiative to raise his hands high and lowered his head. The combat prowess of the 2 men before and after them were among the best in the team, and any one of them could kill him. If he couldn't run away, there was only one way left: drop. Tao Ran chuckled, "Although I am unlucky, I am not unlucky to this extent. Coincidences happen one after another. It would be strange if there is no ghost. This ghost is naturally a mole." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1009. Originally, Tao Ran only suspected a traitor. Hearing that Zhou Chang and the others were attacked, Tao Ran thought that maybe his prediction was wrong, he was unlucky, or Zhou Chang and the others might have been exposed before they were discovered. She also once felt that she was too arrogant and underestimated the strength of the enemy camp, and she had to take the main responsibility. Until the team she led was also attacked. What a coincidence. You know, this group of people has been fighting guerrillas and is so inconspicuous, how come they are being targeted? Moreover, the enemy troops came one after another, as if they had already received the letter. The war was going on, and the enemy's main force should be busy on the main battlefield. How could there be so many troops wandering around the battlefield, ready to rush to encircle and suppress them? No matter how you look at it, it looks like the enemy has known their actions for a long time, so they have arranged for people to deal with their 2 groups of troops. This guess was almost confirmed when Zhou Chang and the others said that they were discovered not long after they arrived and had not made any movements after meeting up with Zhou Chang and others. there is no reason for the enemy to come up and control their location and movements, unless there are spies. Who could it be? The soldier NPCs in the team did not participate in the discussion of the battle plan at all. They just followed orders and did not know the specific actions, so they could be excluded directly. Looking at it this way, the spies can only be players. There is a traitor among his teammates. This is the main reason that makes Chaoran depressed. In order to confirm his guess, Chaoran specially asks Xiao Wang to go and check it out. Therefore, during the 2 hours that Xiao Wang left, he did not go to find Xiao Ke, but returned to the area where Chaoran and the others fought with the enemy. As soon as he arrived nearby and heard the sound of fighting in the distance, Xiao Wang knew that the captain's guess was probably true. Following the sound of movement, Xiao Wang quickly found several players fighting with the enemy 1 kilometer away. Those players were the same people he was familiar with, Brother Xian's group. So, the captain guessed it right. The spies did this not as an individual act, but as an accomplice. The reason why they lost their troops this time was precisely because Brother Xian's gang was up to something evil. The insider should leak the information and reveal his plan to the enemies. The other party made arrangements in advance, which led to attracting enemy troops. Not only did they avenge their previous revenge, greatly damaging the strength of Chaoran's team and preventing Chaoran's team from completing their mission, they could also pick up the slack and take advantage of the opportunity to catch up in order to compete for the top group in the game. I can only say that there are too many benefits. After Chaoran Fang escaped from the trap, he had to evacuate due to excessive losses in his team. The reinforcements sent by Xiao Ke immediately left and returned to the main battlefield. Therefore, that part of the enemy army that had just experienced a big battle just became the target of Brother Xian's team. They were following behind, completely ignoring the wounded enemy soldiers, and harvesting points with each stroke of their swords. Xiao Wang could hear their laughter. What made Xiao Wang even more angry was that he saw a person, Brother Xian. When he returned to camp and brought the news to Chaoran, Chaoran was also shocked. Brother Xian hasn't been eliminated yet. Outrageous. However, this also just puts all the causes and consequences into perspective. The reason why Brother Xian was able to escape was because the insider revealed the specific location where Brother Xian was thrown. This gave Brother Xian a chance to escape and avoid elimination. After escaping, Brother Xian took revenge and used his insider to devise a plan. What he hates most is betrayal, so the traitor must be caught, otherwise there will be endless troubles. This is Chaoran's plan. In order not to alert the enemy, Chaoran acted very depressed that night and did not make any other plans, just to relax the traitor's vigilance. She guessed that the traitor had done such a big thing today and had a lot of credit. He had to meet him to get benefits, right? Since he is still in the team, he must still plan to continue to reap benefits or have a plan to tip off the other party. How to do it, how to make profits and divide the spoils, must be calculated, right? Chaoran guessed that the traitor would definitely find a way to meet him. Of course, they can chat privately. But if nothing else, they should have sent private messages several times since rescuing Brother Xian. Private messages are very expensive, and there is a limit on the number of words each time. It is difficult to explain such a big matter in just a few words, and no one has so many speakers with which to speak. In addition, the war will continue tomorrow. If those bedbugs want to keep jumping around, they must make arrangements and meet, and it must be tonight. Chaoran caught someone like this. The spy. As Chaoran guessed, it was Xiao Dong who went with them to rescue the tiger that day and knew the exact location where Brother Xian was thrown. Xiao Dong's sophistry made no sense, and his surrender did not prevent Chaoran from tying him up directly. Xiao Dong was already frightened by his large clothes and lingering eyes. "I'm a player, you can't hurt me," he said weakly. "Yes, but I have plenty of ways to torture you," Chaoran snorted. "Just like I did to your master that day. Can't we get together and have a nice break?" Xiao Dongtian said shamelessly. I've already asked the system, and it's not like I can't choose a team again. You let me go, and we can cancel the relationship as teammates. You won't lose. The system will deduct 1,000 points and 1,000 points from me, and make up for it to you and team. Isn't this better? In this way, you can recruit better players to help you in the position I vacate. But me staying here will do no good to the team at all, and you still have to worry. This makes little sense. Tao Ran and Xiao Wang each slapped each other and shouted out. Such a natural betrayal, what a shame. He understood so clearly and expressed so clearly that he had obviously already thought about what he would say after the breakup. Why are they so easy to bully? Xiaodong bowed. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. I have to think about myself. I made a desperate choice. Are you desperate? Tao Ran was actually quite interested. What did Brother Xian use to make Xiaodong betray him? You must know that the price Xiaodong will pay if he untie his teammates is not small. In terms of points, and hatred, is Xiaodong worth it? Moreover, the task on level 107 is very difficult, but nearly half of it has been completed here, but Brother Xian is still at level 106. Xiaodong can completely ignore Brother Xian. They know my number. On the way back from Stone Forest the day before yesterday, I received a message from them, saying that if I don't do something for them, they will not only take away all my bonuses, but also publish my number on the World Channel. I've come this far and this must never happen. So please let me go. Look at these days, I have also tried my best to gain a lot of points for the team. Xiaodong grabbed Tao Ran and said, Captain, as long as you also untie the relationship with me, in addition to the points and points required by the system, I can also give you any material compensation. You are such a kind person, give me a chance. Tao Ran laughed. No matter whether she is a good person or not, she will naturally be given a chance. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1010. From the next day, Tao Ran made the opportunity she gave Xiaodong concrete. Xiaodong's role has become diversified. If you want to deal with him, why bother doing it yourself? There are so many enemies, just borrow a sword at will. If he dares to betray, he must have the courage to bear the consequences. For example, bait. Use him to attract enemies. Put him in danger again and again, and let him be responsible for attracting enemy troops. For example, a meat shield. He was tied to the front of the horse and followed Tao Ran and Xiao Wang into the battle. With such a human shield, the sense of security is greatly improved. Another example is just to take him for a walk. He was tied to the hood of the off-road vehicle, and Tao Ran stepped on the accelerator again and again, leading him in and out of the enemy's location, leading him to knock the enemy away again and again, forcing him to protect him as much as possible amidst the rapid excitement. To harm oneself. In just 2 hours, Xiaodong experienced many shocks. His whole body was soaked in sweat and blood. He was left with injuries all over his body and suffered physical and mental torture. Fear became his main emotion. Should he regret it? A quarter of an hour after giving Xiaodong a chance, he took the initiative to tell Brother Xian the location of their tent. In order to carry out the plan smoothly and avoid Tao Ran and the others, Brother Xian not only found a way to avoid Tao Ran's eyes, but also specially pitched his tent at the foot of another mountain. What a painstaking effort! At that time, Xiaodong only thought that Tao Ran would let him go after giving him some information. But Tao Ran said, "You have caused us such a big loss. What did our teammates and NPCs do wrong? How can you make up for everyone with your small contribution?" So, after Xiaodong experienced another round of battlefield tours, he gave a number. Brother Xian's. It was all instigated by Brother Xian. Every wrongdoer has his own debtor. You go to him. Is the number real or fake? How dare I lie to you at this time? When we first played games, Brother Xian and I were on the same team. At that time, everyone didn't know that their numbers would be so useful in the future. Leaving each other's numbers was just to show trust and keep in touch later. Okay. I'll prove it. Xiao Dong thought she would use the chance card to rob him directly, but Tao Ran led him into the battlefield again. Xiao Dong said that he knew everything he knew. Tao Ran said that from now on, he would be taken through birth and death every day. Xiao Dong was completely scared. If this continues, sooner or later he will be killed by the enemy on the battlefield. Even if not, he will be eliminated soon if he is tied up every day and cannot get any points. Brother Xian is ruthless, how can this woman be a good person? Xiao Dong, who was stabbed several times by the enemy, gradually revealed all the news about Brother Xian Fang. He made it clear that Brother Xian's greatest bonuses were strength and speed. He also informed Brother Xian of the number of another brother in his team, saying that he had a gunner bonus and could always hit the mark. But Tao Ran was still not satisfied and continued to lead Xiao Dong in the charge. Xiao Dong almost collapsed, so he could only take the initiative to say that he would try his best to cooperate with Tao Ran no matter what he wanted. Brother Xian and the others could at most take away his bonus, but here, they would make him die on the battlefield in the next second. Which one is terrible is obvious at a glance. Tao Ran had already considered this. Under her instruction, Xiao Dong quickly comforted Brother Xian with a private message, saying that the woman and Xiao Wang organized a meeting last night, so he had no chance to go to the meeting and had no choice but to break the appointment. Tonight, he will keep his appointment as scheduled. In order to sway Brother Xian, he also said that he would bring the team's tomorrow's battle plan to Brother Xian so that he could prepare in advance. 10 hours later, the story that happened to Tao Ran's team the day before was replicated in Brother Xian's group. Not long after Brother Xian arrived at the designated place on time, he encountered an ambush from the enemy. Tao Ran sent an anonymous letter to the enemy camp in advance. The enemy army lived up to her expectations and waited for the enemy, and surrounded Brother Xian and the others who came. This is not enough. As soon as Brother Xian was surrounded, Tao Ran tried to use the chance card she had that had never been used to take away his strength bonus. She didn't care about the bonus, she mainly wanted to test the authenticity of the number Xiao Dong gave her, and let Brother Xian taste the pain, disappointment, and despair again. After receiving the system message, Tao Ran's eyes lit up. The number is real. Has 80% strength bonus. After confirming that it was true, the players on Tao Ran's side who still had chance cards started to plunder Brother Xian and his minions. The team's vitality is severely damaged. If they don't use other means to recover the dead, they will be sorry for themselves. Soon, they heard from a distance the cursing and various useless curses of the besieged group. Brother Xian and the others had aircraft, and although they were able to escape in the end, no one was able to escape unscathed. Several people were all injured to a certain extent and left the stage in embarrassment, destined to be difficult to achieve in the next period of time. Although Tao Ran and the others only have a dozen or so people, it is not a problem to harvest the tired enemy troops from the second battle into points. When Tao Ran went to Xiao Kei's place to inquire, he found out that she was the only special operations team in the military camp at this stage. This means that Brother Xian and the others have not yet met the requirements for team formation, and they probably have not completed the 106th floor mission yet. Good. Since they are competitors, they should do their best to prevent their opponents from catching up. So starting from the next day, Tao Ran's troops were divided into two teams. Xiao Wang led 2 players and 5 NPCs to form a team of 8, guarding near Brother Xian's team. Although most of the members of Brother Xian's team were injured, they were still working hard and just wanted to catch up with their opponents. They quickly came up with many ways to outwit them. Use pickups, sneak attacks, traps, and lures to gain points. Xiao Wang, on the other hand, led his men to seize the enemy halfway, relying on strong force to seize the heads or directly snatch, lure away, and capture the enemy. It is often Brother Xian and the others who plan for a long time, but in the end they make wedding clothes for Xiao Wang and the others. Brother Xian and the others were jumping around every day. In the next 3 days, the 6 of them only got less than 20 points in total. On the other side, there is such a good opportunity for a battle, but there are few people available. So Tao Ran made a decision. From now on, he would only recruit trustworthy acquaintances as team members. In addition, increase the proportion of NPCs in the team. In her opinion, instead of risking being betrayed by players, it would be more worry-free to directly choose an NPC with higher abilities. Therefore, she expanded her NPC recruitment again and increased the number of team members to 45 people. Several NPCs who had died or been seriously injured still had quotas but were unable to fight. She asked Xiao Ke to replace them. There is a price to pay for replacing NPCs. 500 points each, for which their team paid 2,000 points. As for Xiao Dong, now he doesn't want to leave the team. Not to mention that Brother Xian and the others are in a mess, he will be reckoned with by the Queen of Autumn whenever he is alone, and he is still doomed. Whatever you want, Tao Ran spread his hands. If you don't want to leave, your role from now on will be our team's special bait and human shield. If you leave, in order to prevent you from persecuting us, please break off any 2 of your limbs yourself first, and then do whatever you want. In the end, Xiao Dong had no choice but to cut off his hands. At worst, he would keep a low profile for a while and then find a way to form his own team. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1011. Xiaodong left in a state of embarrassment. Tao Ran actually hoped that he would get out. At least it won't be unappetizing, it won't occupy an extra spot, and it can leave points and points for the team. His departure would not pose a threat to Tao Ran's team, but it was different for Brother Xian. Xiaodong wants to form his own team, which means that he will have to compete with Brother Xian for people next. There will be many difficulties ahead, and there will be no shortage of fierce fights between the 2 sides. Although Tao Ran led the team in the battle in the next few days, although there were difficulties, everyone was united and not discouraged. Instead, seize the opportunity of a battle that occurs once every half-month and do your best to earn points. When their legs were injured, they used their hands, and when their limbs were injured, they used their brains. Everyone worked hard and no one was idle. By the end of the 7-day war, their team's points had exceeded 25,000. On the other side, everyone in Brother Xian's team barely passed the 500-point mission, and was still far from the requirement of 1,000 points to form a team. At this time, Tao Ran's eagle returned to the team, and one of Xiao Wang's and Zhou Chang's high-powered friends also joined the team. The team's strength has greatly increased, and everyone's cooperation has become more and more tacit. Many days passed like this, and the team's total points finally exceeded 30,000. But at that moment, only Tao Ran's token showed the number 108. Everyone else is still on the 107th floor. The system also publishes implicit rules. Only players with more than 3,000 personal points can be judged to enter the next level. Players can accept this. Let's just say, new players have basically never experienced the process of facing enemies, so how can they pass the level based on the total team points? This is more reasonable, isn't it? Tao Ran's personal points at this time had already exceeded 6,000. Everyone saw her efforts and were convinced. All the teammates turned their eyes to Tao Ran, wanting to know what her next mission was. Tao Ran looked above his head and did not find any thunderclouds gathering. It seemed that this time it was not a secret, could it be told? After reading the most written rules from the beginning of the game until now, Tao Ran concluded his speech by saying, "The system conveyed several contents to me. First, the task requirements for level 108 are still about points. This time, individual points must exceed 10,000 to enter the next level. 2. I got promoted. My rank went from captain to sergeant. Now our team can recruit another 20 NPCs. From now on, for every 10,000 points our team has in total, we can recruit 10 more people. By analogy, there is no upper limit. Third, after I was promoted, my current captain position became available. The team grew in size, so I could commit to 2 captains. The captain's treatment remains unchanged, and he will receive an additional 2% bonus to the entire team's points. As a non-commissioned officer, my bonus increased to 3%. Fourth, as a non-commissioned officer and captain, there will be assessment tasks to ensure that each team member's points are on an upward trend at each stage. If you fail to pass the assessment at each stage, your official position will not be guaranteed, and a certain number of points will be deducted. To sum up, I roughly judge that what follows is basically a promotion system. Regardless of whether we have a position or not, we all need to work hard and unite to move forward better. It was time for Chaoran to appoint 2 captains. Among the 3 methods of drawing lots, voting, and choosing the best according to the existing points, Chaoran chose the third one. This is the most reasonable and fair way. At this stage, Xiao Wang and Zhou Chang, who have the most personal points on the token, have become the 2 new captains. Strength and points speak for themselves, and no one has any objection. And with the 2 people he trusted the most, Chaoran felt even more at ease. Therefore, even if everyone is not on the same level, they are still fighting as a group on the same battlefield. Time flies. Not long after, Brother Xian and Xiao Dong finally formed a team successfully. Chaoran's team has strong soldiers and horses, and it is not something that those 2 teams can mess with. New players are constantly coming to the battlefield. In order to win players, Brother Xian and Xiao Dong often go to war. However, Chaoran's team was full, and the team also included the newly arrived Huang Mao and Xiaoping, who had been in contact with him before. Xiaoan and Ma Xiaoyuan are still on the 90+ floor, still far away. Not surprisingly, they couldn't catch up. Chaoran only hoped that they could work hard and at least strive to get past the 100 levels and return home safely. After more than half of the players in Chaoran's team reached the 108th floor, Chaoran was promoted again and she became a lieutenant officer. Her points bonus increased to 4%. Zhou Chang and Xiao Wang were promoted, and the captain also reappointed 3 people. The complete structure of the entire team has basically taken shape, and the promotion mechanism is determined by points and ability. This made the military highly united, and everyone's enthusiasm was always high. Everyone was focused on getting points. Their team performed very well on the battlefield and became famous and feared among the enemy. In the next 2 battles, they were the team with the highest points in the entire battalion. Even the NPC Xiaoke praised and commended them several times. And their brilliance was so dazzling that the other 2 teams on the battlefield gradually changed from a dog-eat-dog fight to occasional cooperation. On 2 occasions, the 2 teams worked together to steal 300 points from Chaoran and the others. Although Chaoran brought people back to make up for it and gave the opponent a look, everyone knows that according to the current development trend, it will be sooner or later for the other 2 teams to join forces. This point about the rival alliance became more and more obvious after the arrival of a certain person. On the 266th, he was like a rat that couldn't be killed, but he still sprang up. He became a troublemaker. After failing to split up Chaoran's team, he became a lobbyist for the other 2 teams, trying his best to promote the alliance between Xianji and Xiao Dong's team. Looking at it, another battle between the enemy and ourselves is coming. At this time, Chaoran's personal points had exceeded 10,000. She has reached the 109th floor, and the completion of the game is just around the corner. The system notification came at night when she was alone. It's still a vast white space. This time there is only one multiple choice question. Personal or team? If you choose an individual, you can go to the enemy camp to harvest 1000 points within a limited time to complete this level of tasks. If you choose a team, then start counting now and help the team get 10,000 points to pass the level. According to Taoran's ability, it is definitely more appropriate to choose personal missions, which will allow him to clear the level quickly. But she only hesitated for a second before choosing a team task that was more troublesome and took longer. At the moment of the war, the opponents are allied again, and the team still needs her. Since she is the top leader of the team, she still has to fulfill her responsibilities. The moment she pressed the confirm button, she knew she had made a wise choice. The system immediately made a judgment. As a team leader, being responsible for the team and members is the most basic quality and requirement. Perseverance, leading by example, and considering the overall situation and the war situation are the essential qualities for becoming a senior officer. Congratulations to the players for being responsible, having an overall view, and successfully passing the promotion assessment. Player number 444 is currently a school official and has a 5% point bonus. The player team can be expanded to recruit 50 NPCs again. Individual players can form a 10-person escort team. Players are asked to keep up their efforts and strive to lead the team to the next step. Taoran didn't expect that he would be promoted just by making a decision. She suddenly began to wonder, how high was the highest promotion position on this battlefield, and how high could she possibly reach? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1012. After the promotion selection, there is another seemingly innocuous multiple choice question. Ask, are you satisfied with the current team? If you are satisfied, are you willing to use 10% of your personal points for team building? Friendly reminder, points play a big role in the player's final choice in the game. Taoran took a deep breath. She has been pushed to such a senior official position, so naturally she can't say no. She has plenty of points, and 10% of her points is nothing. Even though she felt a little distressed, she still pressed confirm. She laughed, she is really a good person who loves her job and her friends. Taoran didn't know when she made the choice. In fact, except for her, all the players in the entire war zone had received this question. As the first person to reach the 109th floor, she inspired the hidden test. Taoran made his choice, and after giving the points, the specific content of the task popped up on the page. After all players in the team complete their selections, team satisfaction data will be announced. If the player's team satisfaction exceeds 80%, the points just spent will be refunded. The team will be built according to the highest standards by the system, with the greatest discounts, greatest support, and best facilities. If the satisfaction of the player team exceeds 60%, the luck value of the whole team will increase by 20% in tomorrow's battle. Satisfaction level 50% minus 60%, maintain status quo. For teams with a satisfaction level of 40% minus 50%, all bonuses for everyone will be reduced by 20%. For a team whose satisfaction level is less than 40%, all bonuses for everyone will be directly halved. Taoran he, sure enough, the unity and cooperation that the game has always emphasized have become the embodiment of specific values at this moment. She was a little nervous. Not everyone is willing to say satisfied, let alone have to provide practical benefits after being satisfied. An hour later, a big stone fell on her heart. Her dedication to the team was not in vain. Her team satisfaction finally reached 90%, and everyone was very supportive. Xiaokei's adjutant sent a large amount of supplies and weapons to their team overnight, and gave the warehouse a pass. In tomorrow's battle, their advantages will be revealed. On the contrary, the channels on the 107th and 108th floors were full of complaints. Some threatened and some scolded. It can be confirmed that neither team's satisfaction rate is more than half. The war continues. During the 7-day battle, under the leadership of Tao Ran, everyone's personal points increased by leaps and bounds. When Xiao Wang and others reached the 109th floor to take multiple choice questions, Tao Ran also completed the task of helping the team get 10,000 points and reached the 110th floor. However, the system tasks were not released for a long time, so she continued to help the team score points and prevent the other two teams from harassing them from time to time. During this period, Tao Ran was annoyed by the opponent's team once. She simply spent 2 days, led Xiao Wang, who had already completed the point task, and set up a chain plan to directly block the opponent on a cliff and attract hundreds of enemies. The army went over to surround. That time, number 266 finally rolled down the cliff after taking a stab from the enemy, and was completely eliminated. Time flies. 15 days flew by. 70% of the players in Tao Ran's team have reached the 110th floor. Although I don't know what the points will be used for in the end, it does not prevent everyone from working hard to continue harvesting. On this day, a new round of war began again. But before everyone takes action, the system releases a new task. At the end of the 7-day war, all players who have not yet reached the 110th floor will be eliminated directly. So these 7 days became the last chance for those players who did not have enough points to work hard. With united efforts and mutual help, what difficulties can stump them? What is gratifying is that all the players in Tao Ran's team, a total of 17 people, all reached the 110th floor safely. Once the time is up, elimination begins. Through the ranking list, you can intuitively see the numbers above disappear. The feeling was slightly sad. Tao Ran was relieved that although Xiaoan and the others failed to arrive, they still passed the 100th floor. They said their goodbyes and blessings on the World Channel. What is disappointing is that the final survivors of the game were only 31 players. The final survival rate of the game is only 3%. The mission content of the 110th floor has also been released. Elimination tasks. After the enemy troops were driven back several times, there was no chance of them rising again. Battlefields no longer require so many teams. The entire military camp only needs at most one special operations team. Therefore, 2 of the 3 existing teams need to be eliminated. The solution is naturally a melee. There are no additional rules, just try to kill and try to avoid being killed. After being hit in a vital position 3 times or for more than 3 seconds, the system determines that the player is dead and can no longer take action until there are only players of the same team left on the battlefield. In the end, the team of the surviving player is the winner, and all members of his team pass the level, while the players of the other 2 teams are directly eliminated. Don't look at the results, only look at the final survival. The 17-member Tao Ran team naturally faced a 2-on-1 situation. This time, the 2 opposing teams had the only way to fight them together. For Tao Ran, why is this so difficult? To put it bluntly, this is an enlarged version of the arena. Although Tao Ran doesn't have the ability to defeat many enemies with one person at the same time, she is confident that she will survive until the end. A big melee began, and players fell down one by one. In fact, it was almost as expected, and the final battle took place between Tao Ran, Xiao Wang and Brother Xian. This kind of battle has happened before in the arena. Repeated again, the results are not that different. Tao Ran and the others became the final winners. Brother Xian didn't even understand what Tao Ran's number was until he collapsed. But Tao Ran is a good person, and naturally he will not let him leave with such regrets. Number 444, guarantee it's true, Brother Xian stared, Taoran smiled brightly, you guessed it right from the beginning, but why don't you stick to your idea? In the regret like the torrential river, Brother Xian and his gang disappeared in front of their eyes together with the NPCs around them. Sun Yang and others, who had just been subdued to the ground by their opponents, also gained mobility again. 17 people stood together. The number on everyone's token changed to 111, the last level. The system is quite humane and tells you directly that the last level is a personal challenge. After the final level, players will no longer meet. Therefore, the system gave them 5 minutes to say goodbye. 5 minutes is not enough to say much. They were all teammates who fought side by side and went through life and death, but suddenly they had to say goodbye forever. Everyone talked 1,000 words, but in the end they were all in silence. They hugged each other one by one, and everyone responded with smiles and blessings. I wish you no more sorrow in this life. I wish you all peace and joy. When the time comes, the scene changes. Everyone has arrived in their own white space. Taoran was accompanied by Dodo this time. Floor 111, the final theme, liquidation. On the huge electronic screen, everyone's behavior, gains, punishments, bonuses, etc. on each level were scrolled. Profit, take it. Accounts need to be settled. Debt must be repaid. Liquidation starts automatically. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1013. The content on the huge display screen in front of me is jumping rapidly. The last few system information are also popping up automatically. Taoran led the team to the final victory and gained 5,000 points. She was promoted again, and her position reached the general level. As the only winner of this honor in this survival game, she will receive an additional reward of 5,000 points and 2 titles, namely Battlefield Hero and Golden Fighter. Her team also won the team honor of the Last King, and everyone received a medal. All the titles, medals, trophies, and prizes she has won are all listed. For a moment, Taoran was filled with emotions. The world of survival has really been around for a long time. It turns out she has gained so much. Additionally, all leaderboards are now open. Even the previous ranking of has come out. Just as Taoran was about to take a closer look, the space he was in suddenly shook. With a blur in front of her eyes, she seemed to be back on the battlefield again. In a blink of an eye, she and Daodu were standing in front of the off-road vehicle, and suddenly the world was shattering. Then I saw a hole in the sky being torn apart. What burst out of the air was the one Taoran had forgotten about, but it was the one she had been eyeing since she came to the game, the Black Knight. There was a cloud of darkness, and a black knight riding a black horse was coming through the sky. Taoran's scalp felt numb. At this moment, she fully understood the true meaning of the word liquidation. Mom! The rumbling momentum was simply shaking the mountains. The Daodu gang read the system messages and informed Taoran that the original number of Black Knights was 99. The wizard in the fairy tale level kept his promise and helped Taoran get rid of 9 of them. Now chasing, there are 90 people. Taoran shook his head with a dark face. She can handle 90. Forget it. She is self-aware and cannot fight. Then I thought about what the witch had told me earlier, saying that the Black Knights were brave and good at fighting and would never look back. Once they became their target, they would pursue them even to the ends of the earth. Either fight or run. Taoran's first reaction was to run. She took Daodu on the off-road vehicle. She accelerated and made sharp U-turns, trying to disperse the Black Knight. The speed of the car reached 180, and the sky was filled with yellow sand. But Taoran's plan didn't work. The formation of these guys was not broken up. The horses facing the off-road vehicle immediately raised their front hooves and jumped into the air. Then they kicked off their rear hooves. Taoran's off-road vehicle made several dong 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 sounds. Horse hooves trampled through the roof and back cover of the car. Tao Ran's attack was not successful, but he fully understood the opponent's power. Dowdu also informed Tao Ran from the system message that the so-called liquidation was to complete all unfinished commitments, unsolved problems, and unfinished punishments in the entire game world. That's all for layer 111. After system verification, Tao Ran's entire game was completed to a high degree. In addition to the Black Knight, the system did not find any other unresolved problems. So as long as she successfully handles these Black Knights, the survival game will basically be over. When Dowdu said this, Tao Ran had already tried to increase the speed of the car and hit him again. This time, with her feint and drift, it really had an unexpected effect. When the car passed by, it blocked the two unprepared Black Knights. Then she backed away and ran over the two men. After another quick U-turn, the car body knocked two more Black Knights away. After several operations, 4 Black Knights finally turned into black smoke and dissipated. But because of her operation, the remaining 86 Black Knights were alert and formed a circle of siege. Layers of black fog have enveloped the place. The darkness became thicker and the vision became blurry. Even the sky was melted into darkness. Tao Ran's car lights didn't work either, and he was swallowed up by darkness. The only thing she could vaguely see were the stars and the silver light emitted by the swords held by the Black Knights. What should I do? Dowdu was a little panicked, but his eyes also showed a rare light of determination. It took a lot of effort to get to this point, and I suffered so much, but I was only one step away from success. If I were to stop here, I would not be able to accept it no matter what. Sister, you just say what I can do. At this time, they were almost completely invisible. It took a lot of operations to deal with the 4 Black Knights, and it would be even harder if they were invisible. Tao Ran turned the steering wheel in one direction, took the car in a circle, and determined the direction where the silver light was the densest. Then he turned the front of the car and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. The engine whirred. The car was speeding so fast, and when he saw that he was about to collide with him, Tao Ran ripped off the small red bottle from his neck, opened the lid, rolled up the window, and threw it out. This red bottle was the one used by the witch in the initial level to save her life against the Black Knight. It had been hanging around her neck, and it was finally put to use. Boom! The car sped off but didn't hit anything. Looking back, I saw that the entire black area that I had just passed through had been replaced by red mist. Wherever red goes, black is devoured and dies. Tao Ran and the two laughed. Very useful. In the blink of an eye, all the darkness behind him disappeared, and the bright sky was visible again. But their smiles are hard to maintain. Because after the initial strength of the red mist, it gradually weakened due to the counter-attack of black energy. Tao Ran and the others hurriedly passed through the opening of the red mist that was becoming lighter. Dowdu informed Tao Ran that according to the system data, the witch's potion helped them deal with half of the Black Knights. There are 43 left. Tao Ran shook his head, and Dowdu understood that with the Black Knight's strength, she still couldn't beat him 1 versus 43. But fortunately, the encirclement just now has been broken through by them, and now it has become a chase battle again. Tao Ran gave up the driver's seat to Dowdu and took the passenger seat. She took out her bow and arrow and began to attack. One blow, and another. Her accuracy is indeed very good, and her bow and arrow are also powerful after being strengthened, but she can't stand up to the Black Knights wearing special armor. The arrows she shot could only cause damage, but they were almost impossible to kill in one hit. Due to the armor's protection, the secondary damage from the bow and arrow she had always been proud of was ineffective. Tao Ran could only choose to shoot the Black Knight's horse head. However, even if it hits, it will be in vain. The fallen Black Knight either jumped directly onto his teammate's horse, or was still chasing after him. The scary thing is that the pursuit speed of their legs is not weak. Tao Ran could only let Dowdu maintain the speed of the car, and continued to draw the bow and shoot arrows. After being entangled like this for nearly 10 minutes, Chaoran's arms began to feel numb, but there were only 10 Black Knights at most who fell down and disappeared into black mist. In addition to the 3 who were knocked away by Daudu, who was grinding his teeth and crushed with his wheels, there were almost 30 Black Knights left at this time. Chaoran shook his head again. Too difficult. After opening the roof and turning the car into a convertible, Chaoran asked Daudu to slow down slightly. Sure enough, there was a Black Knight chasing him from behind. As she expected, the leading Black Knight jumped up and rushed over the off-road vehicle just like before. The momentum was not small, and it was as if a horse's hooves would trample them into the mud. This is what Chaoran was waiting for. How else to let Daudu drive? 30, isn't it? She can get rid of everyone. Having already put on the golden gloves, she saw the right moment and jumped suddenly. As she stood on the seat, the sword in her hand was already thrust out. She used a sharp sword move, and while the horse's hoofs were cut off, the Black Knight on the horse was also pierced through the chest by her sword. Under the inertia, the horse and the knight flew away. Another horse arrived from behind and was too late to stop. This time Chaoran had already stood on the back of the chair. The long sword in his hand struck out, and Chaoran's head and face were covered with human and horse blood, but it fell on his body but disappeared without a trace. The 2 horses coming from behind pulled to an emergency stop, and Chaoran had already whipped out his whip. The powerful and heavy whip wrapped around the necks of the 2 knights like a snare. The 2 collided and fell off their horses. Chaoran seized the opportunity and used his long sword to finish off the attack, once again killing the 2 Black Knights. There are 26 more. The Black Knights behind them all turned around and wanted to surround them. At Chaoran's signal, Daudu suddenly accelerated again and pulled away. The car ran in front, and the Black Knights pressed forward step by step. Chaoran's biggest advantage now is his familiarity with the terrain. By charging through a small stone forest, she once again eliminated 6 Black Knights. The system beeps. Daudu took a helpful look, and his face fell instantly. What's the matter? Just tell me. Chaoran whipped out his whip again. Although he missed, he succeeded in causing the horse behind him to hit a tree. Sister, this is Piaoong's message. Some players have already walked out of the 111th floor and completed the game. Daudu couldn't hide his disappointment in his words. In the recent floors, Chaoran was far ahead. There are even many levels where she is waiting for subsequent players to complete tasks. If they hadn't waited from time to time, they would have been far ahead. In Daudu's heart, no matter what, her sister should be the first player to finish the survival game. Now it's stalled because of the remaining issues from the first level, which makes me feel uncomfortable no matter how much I think about it. So unfair. Chaoran, I have a calm mind. I killed the NPC in the first level, and climbed several levels in one breath without playing much. I got such a big bonus, so of course I have to pay the price. There is nothing to say. Although she said this, Chaoran didn't show any emotion on her face, but her heart beat rapidly several times. So angry. So unhappy. It's strange that she's not in a hurry. According to estimates, the reward will be greater if you leave the game first. She really has been trying to be the first. But now it's hard to get the top spot, so maybe it's not even in the top 5, right? Chaoran also remembered that among all her rewards, the highest level golden key was marked, and the top 5 players had to complete the game to take effect. What to do? She really doesn't know. All she knows is that there are almost 20 Black Knights, and she must seize the top 5 spots in the game as quickly as possible. At this time, the off-road vehicle just hit a Black Knight. The guy's armor was hooked on a branch, exposing the flesh of his neck. Chaoran's arrow just hit his neck, causing secondary damage and a burst of flames. Chaoran suddenly had an idea. At this time, Dowdu informed that another player had completed the game. Taoran couldn't help but make a wish. If she was given 5 more minutes, she would definitely be able to deal with these guys. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1014. At Taoran's signal, Dowdu drove the car towards the open plains again. Taoran was already standing high on the roof of the car, directing the car's movement while drawing his bow and shooting arrows. Soon, the Black Knights following behind gathered together. Under Taoran's guidance, Dowdu suddenly made a sharp U-turn and then rushed the car towards the group of Black Knights behind. Taoran's hand speed was very fast, and his sword was busy for a while. The Black Knights didn't know her true intentions, they just thought she was rushing towards them just to disperse them, just like the previous times. The target is getting closer and closer, but the response of the Black Knights has not changed. They still pull the reins, and the black horses all raise their front legs, intending to step over the oncoming car. It's just that, this time the car seemed to be slower than the previous times, and there was a sudden slowdown. Just when they were surprised, they saw the woman in the car waving her sword one after another, as if she was practicing magic. What's the meaning? Before the doubts began, the target was seen jumping on the hood of the car, and then holding a bucket of something and lifting it out. There was suddenly a lot of liquid that looked like fine water droplets in the air, and there was a strong smell. At the same time, the Black Knights saw the woman in front of them duck out of the way, disappear from the roof of the car, and then jump out of the car door. Not good. The car is empty. The people in the car had already rolled out. At this time, the off-road vehicle was already under the Black Knights, and the vehicle also emitted a pungent smell. This is the smell of gasoline. What the target player just pumped out was gasoline. It was too late for the Black Knights to realize something was wrong. With a boom, the off-road vehicle was already on fire. The flames suddenly jumped up with the oil, and the horses they jumped were instantly swallowed up by the fire. Because he was always running on the battlefield and could only refuel at designated warehouses, Taoran was afraid that his car would suddenly run out of gas during missions, so he always had the habit of keeping a few barrels of gas in his car. In the middle of the action, she had already taken a bucket of oil and poured it into the inside and outside of the car. The Black Knight couldn't understand her method and didn't know that when she jumped in and out, she was actually wearing golden gloves and poking left and right with her top-notch dagger, causing both the engine and the fuel tank to leak oil. What she threw out was indeed gasoline. To ensure the effect, she had already taken a good guess at the direction of the wind. She is a tailwind, which can ensure that even if the group of Black Knights in front is not covered by rain and dew, it is hard to escape. A lighter flew out and the off-road vehicle was set on fire. The inertia of speed can ensure that the group of Black Knights who have taken off cannot stop the car, and are swept in by a heat wave of 3 meters. Taoran poured gasoline on that area, so the fire expanded twice more in less than half a second, and almost all the Black Knights were unavoidable. While the Black Knight was busy with the fire on his body, Dowdu raised Taoran's bow and started shooting. Taoran, on the other hand, whipped his whip and rushed out. None of them got close to the Black Knight, they only strangled him a few meters away, just waiting for an effect. 2 minutes later, here it comes. There was a huge boom. The car with oil leakage finally exploded in the high-temperature environment. A ball of flame burst out, causing the ground to shake. In addition, there were 2 large barrels of oil in the car, so explosions occurred one after another. The Black Knights are truly getting scorched. Black smoke billowed, and the Black Knights located in the center of the explosion wailed and fell to the ground. Some disappeared directly into black smoke, and some directly lost their combat effectiveness. Even the Black Knights on the periphery were affected to some extent. Some were on fire and rolling around on the ground, some were thrown off their horses, and some were trampled directly by the frightened black horses. In short, it was a mess. With the opponent no longer able to counterattack, Taoran led Daudu to attack quickly. Daudu could even hit the Black Knight with a knife, let alone Taoran. A long sword was manipulated by her until only after images were left. After attacking again and again, the Black Knight quickly disappeared into smoke. 20 Black Knights disappeared in the blink of an eye. All the Black Knights had been eliminated, and with a ding, she gained another title of Knight Nemesis and gained another 3,000 points. And sure enough, the space suddenly distorted, and her liquidation mission was completed. Taoran returned to the space. They checked the display hurriedly. Thankfully, she was the fourth to complete the survival game. Fortunately, her little assistant upgraded quickly and didn't accumulate any more penalties in the last few levels. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible to finish in the top 5. Taoran felt that one of the strings was finally loosened and he lay down directly on the ground. The two big words liquidation on the display screen changed to settlement. A string of numbers jumps frequently. All Taoran's gains in the game were converted into numbers and accumulated at this moment. For example, the points on the battlefield are converted into her points at a ratio of 1:1. For example, all trophies and physical objects harvested are converted into points according to their corresponding values. For example, the props and survival materials she harvested all had points. This even includes the honorary titles and medals she has received, such as titles such as First Killer, Dragon Nanny, Everyone's Lover, etc., all of which are converted into 2,000 points, and the ones given by Longbow medals, such as City Hero and Last King, are worth 1,000 points. Adding up all these, her points were jumping rapidly and were basically close to 100,000. Then, the points suddenly increased by 50,000. The last large amount of points came from Daudu. 30,000 of them are rescue mission points, and another 20,000 are rewards. It turns out that the biggest hidden mission in the entire game is to rescue the assistant. Each player's assistant will respond to daily conversations and actions just like real players. As long as players observe a little more carefully, they will naturally find that these little assistants are unusual. If players are more attentive and think more, they will naturally keep an eye on the assistant. The system uses the assistant level as a means of elimination, which actually reminds players to work hard to upgrade. Unfortunately, most players still failed to complete this task. Although Taoran did not hide Daudu's existence, all the team members knew the importance of upgrading assistants, but unfortunately there were not many ways to obtain points in the last few levels, and most players had no points to upgrade. So the game finally ended, and there were only 3 people who successfully raised the assistant to level 10 and rescued him. Therefore, Taoran, as the first person, received a large reward. Now her total points have steadily exceeded 150,000. The leaderboard appears again. Of the 4 rankings, only the previous ranking marked with has now become golden. The label of this list is now embodied in the total contribution value, that is, the total score value. This is the ranking after adding up all the scores in the game. Taoran is far ahead with a total score of 150,000, which is 60,000 points more than the second place Xiao Wang. Zhou Chang ranked third with a difference of 3,000 points. So what we finally want to see is this golden ranking, right? Taoran could not hide his excitement. Yes, Sister Daudu nodded eagerly. A second later, as expected, what appeared on the display screen were huge rolling subtitles. Congratulations to the player for winning the first place in the game. Number 1. Really number 1. Taoran wanted to cry for a moment. This time, she could get the reward herself. She had a premonition that her fate would completely change from now on. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1015. First place means huge rewards. It was completed beyond expectations, and Taoran's heart almost burst out of his chest. She had no chance of getting to this point in the last survival game. She didn't even know what Elizabeth's agent had taken. This time, she wanted too much. Can she get them all? She probably guessed that the points should be related to rewards. The electronic sound started. Balabala said something, which roughly means that this time the rewards for survival game players can be redeemed with points. It is said that all points malls, primary weapon malls, and players' existing items are within the redemption range. If the player proposes other rewards, the system will evaluate the required points for redemption. Taoran was very excited. The more points you have, the more things you can exchange for them. Is that the truth? Yes, the electronic voice returned. Taoran's whole body was relaxed. She wants too much. She had been worried that after redeeming Elizabeth's requested rewards, she might not be able to collect what she wanted. It's fine now. Her points are far ahead, so she should be able to exchange for a lot of things, right? In other words, I can also redeem my weapons. Can. I have brought attribute rings, bracelets, etc., can they be redeemed? Able. When they come to my world, will they have the same bonus? Right. What if it's an illusion? What about some alien illusion? Are the attributes still valid? Effective. Items that are successfully redeemed will have the player's logo. As long as the item is in the player's hand, there will be corresponding bonuses and effects. Taoran's heartbeat was several beats faster now. If so, her success rate against Elizabeth would be much higher, right? What about the props? Can they be turned into real objects when taken out? Able. I just don't know, how many points are needed to redeem each item? The system seemed to know what she was thinking, and immediately popped up a line of explanation. If you redeem items in the game, each item will be worth 10,000 points. If the player redeems items outside the game, the points will start at 20,000 points per item. Taoran submitted the names of 2 unheard crystal minerals and a spiritual water that Elizabeth wanted. The system took 3 minutes to make the decision and finally gave a price of 70,000 points. So, after she exchanged her 150,000 points for the old witch, which sounded like a large amount, she could only exchange them for 8 items for herself? As long as her results are a little worse, even if she is like Xiao Wang Zhouchang who came in second and third place, wouldn't this game be another attempt to fetch water from a bamboo basket, and it is basically impossible to gain anything? Taoran inevitably clenched his fists. Old witch, this has obviously been planned for a long time. If all the mechanisms are exhausted, you won't give yourself the slightest chance. 8 items are obviously not enough. She needs so much. She wanted to take away all 3 of her weapons. Her invisibility scroll and the gifts from the 2 dragons totaled more than 8 items, not to mention bracelets, rings and other items. She also wanted a retractable bag to hide the aura of spiritual objects. I want something that can deal with the old witch. Can the points be discounted? Taoran asked. No counter-offer, the system replied decisively. Then, a row of item identifiers appeared on the screen. They are potions given by wizards, golden trumpets, golden keys, invisibility scrolls and other items. The electronic voice said, these game rewards obtained by Taoran have not been used, so the system thoughtfully provides recycling. Players can return 5,000 points per item. Taoran clicked his tongue. Are you sure it's thoughtful? Not a black heart? The recycling price is only half the points of the selling price? That's nice. The reason why these things are useless is that Taoran is reluctant to waste them, keeps them for precautions, and does not know how to use them. All that's left is mostly good stuff. Now let her discount it by half, it feels like a loss no matter what. At this time, the system finally took the initiative and said, it is recommended that players use call coupons now. The call coupon was issued by Taoran in the thousands of admiration gift package. According to the rules, the redemption of game points is the player's choice. The system will not provide any right of explanation. However, after the player uses the call coupon, the system will give as detailed an explanation and suggestion as possible. Taoran thought for a moment and realized that he could only take away 8 rewards. She had to understand it clearly before making a decision, so she directly pressed the button to confirm the exchange. In the row of unused items listed by the system, one item was instantly destroyed. This confirmation is equivalent to losing 5,000 points. I've changed everything, no matter what the consequences are. Taoran, what's the use of Longbao's tears? Longbao gave Taoran teardrops, saying they were kept as a souvenir. Electronic voice, the first tier of the young dragon is a natural spiritual creature. It can be eaten and refined. Food can make the ears and eyes brighter and expand the 5 senses. Use it to communicate with all spirits and show compassion for heaven and earth. Refining it can empathize with the dragon and strengthen the spirit. How to use? It's not very clear here. It is recommended that players experience it on their own. Where's the golden key? Does it open something? Players who successfully complete the game among the top 5 will receive the highest level prize, the golden key. But the golden key here is not for unlocking, but for unlocking the player's wish. In other words, the player can make any request. As a reward, we will do our best to help players complete it. Taoran's eyes lit up. Was he one step closer to getting rid of Elizabeth? Then can she let the system directly help her kill Elizabeth? Where's the golden horn? You can have an opportunity to have a call directly with the designer of the game, the creator of the system, and the supervisor here. Can it be done now? Okay. Okay, I want to talk to your supervisor. Someone who can design such a game is a supervisor in the advanced world. He must be very powerful, right? Given such an opportunity, Taoran naturally wanted to try it. While Taoran was waiting, 2 more boxes appeared on the table in front of her. Taoran could already sense the majestic spiritual energy released from the first box without opening it. Undoubtedly, this is the spiritual energy crystal that the system owes her. 3 UN has arrived. The other box contains the photos of the 3rd illusion on the 100th floor and the system settings for her to deal with Elizabeth's suggestions. Just as Taoran was about to take a closer look, an unusually pleasant male voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Apparently, she got on the phone with the supervisor. What do you want to know? That voice was deep, rich, and magnetic, no worse than those male actors' exclusive dubbing. Unfortunately, both inside and outside the words were impatient and cold, with a sense of superior contempt, which really made people like it. Can't get up. Thinking that every time he was suspected of being targeted or unlucky in the game, 9 out of 10 times it was related to this man, Taoran's originally flattering tone disappeared unconsciously. Hopefully, the 5,000 points worth of this call are worth spending. She gets straight to the point. I have a golden key and can make a request. I'm afraid the system will have a hard time helping me. Now that I have this opportunity, I hope you can help me. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 1016. The male voice who replied was equally direct. Is the problem you want to solve with the golden key the problem on the 100th floor of the illusion? Taoran, yes. Explain your thoughts. I want to live safely. I want to get out of the control of that monster. Sooner or later, she and I will have a confrontation. If possible, I hope you can help me kill that witch. It can't be done. The male voice refused coldly. For us, your place is a different world. We cannot directly interfere with the cause and effect of the other world. You have an ancient connection with that person. Whether you want to end it or destroy her, you have to do it yourself. Taoran felt a chill in his heart. As soon as she mentioned cause and effect, she knew there was no chance. Since you can't help me with what I asked, let me change my request. I hope you can help me remove the restrictions in my soul, can you? For the same reason, it's not allowed. You have hundreds of years of grudges, and we can't interfere directly. Taoran couldn't hide his disappointment. You can't help me with what I need most. So, is this golden key an exaggeration? Your game is great, but this is all it actually has. The male voice finally had some ups and downs, and he laughed contemptuously, clearly disapproving of it. Let me ask you, why do you want to kill that old demon? Nature is for living. I can prevent you from dying. The male voice was calm again. I'll make sure that old demon can't hurt your life. Is this okay? You mean she can't kill me? Yes. Then will I become a walking zombie or a vampire monster like her? Of course not. You are still you. In short, she can't do anything to you. If this can be achieved, of course I am willing. Taoran suppressed the excitement in his heart and tried hard to make his voice not sound so excited. But there is a condition, the male voice added. A white light flashed before his eyes, and the display screen appeared and lit up again. Taoran's eyes blurred as the screen was filled with densely packed words. How does it look like a file? Contract? Employment contract? Male voice. According to the rules of the world, after you go back to the original world, we cannot interfere with the life, death, and cause and effect of your world. But if you have cause and effect with us, it will be different. Once you become one of ours, it is only natural that we use protective measures against you. If you are willing to join us, then your life and death will naturally be protected. Taoran was shocked. She never expected that she would receive offers of employment in addition to her acting career during her lifetime. Out of curiosity, she couldn't help but swipe through the pages on the display screen and take a closer look at the document. What? A low-level administrator of the Space-Time Management Bureau? Time and Space Administration? Is there such a place? She has indeed always wanted a golden job, but she has not thought about going to the high-end world to work as a civil servant. The male voice continued, there are not many things to do in this position. They are all things you are familiar with. They are to handle the commissions from various worlds, issue tasks, maintain the balance of the world, and handle complaints. The work is not difficult, a little complicated, and the income is good. Your life axis will be extended, your body texture will age slower, and you will control many peoples. Wait, Taoran patted his head, which had no time to digest. It sounds too fantasy, so it's like a dream. But she still has real problems. So she shook her head. No matter how good you are, I'm afraid I won't be able to do it. I want to survive mainly because I still have to fulfill my unfinished wishes. I still have a family waiting for me to take care of. That's not a problem at all. The male voice seemed to have a better attitude and his voice became softer. What you see now is just a contract of intention. It is only for confirmation, not effective. It is mainly to establish a causal connection between you and us. We don't need you to take office immediately. You can come back after you have dealt with the matters around you. Go through the formal process with us and officially become one of us. So reasonable? It's becoming more and more unreal. Taoran, I have a mother-in-law to take care of. Although my mother-in-law is old, she is in good health now. I am still young, I have a career I love, and I want to work hard for a few more years. Anything goes, the male voice interrupted her. Is 10 years enough? If not, 20 years. Or we can discuss it again. You can come back to fulfill our contract after you are tired of eating, drinking, having fun, struggling and enjoying it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We won't force you. And this is just an intent contract. What are you worried about? We have a complete welfare system and room for advancement. You will have more space to express your ambitions. You can help more people. You can also see the value of life. In addition to getting a considerable salary for living and leisure, you also have holidays and annual leave to take, and you can participate in various high-tech entertainment activities and enjoy various subsidies after work. If you are willing, you can travel through 3,000 worlds, appreciate the beauty of thousands of worlds, and achieve freedom beyond the physical body. Bara. The male voice was still persuading. Everything seems perfect. It's hard not to be tempted. But Taoran has professional sensitivity. The indifference in this man's voice, and the benefit of his repeated castings, reminded Taoran of the anglers who lay out their baits and wait for the fish to take the bait, and the strange worms who give sweets to children and make them follow. It was hard not to make her wary. She always felt something was wrong. The reward of the golden key is to provide me with a job opportunity. But your contract was clearly prepared in advance, not drafted on the fly. There is something wrong with this. It's more like a trap. You shouldn't understand it this way. But I appreciate your responsiveness, the male voice chuckled. Let's put it this way, the reward of the golden key is to save your life, but the job opportunity is another matter. It is something we provide to you in addition. We give you a job and you work hard. We don't owe each other anything. It's fair. Yeah. Taoran couldn't figure it out for a while. She still felt something was wrong, but she couldn't explain it for a while. Male voice, it is true that this contract was drawn up in advance, but it was not designed for you. We are recruiting people here, and you happen to be one of our candidates. I just listened to your request and followed suit. I leave this opportunity to you. Am I suitable? If Taoran were the boss, he would definitely not choose to go to such trouble and ask the boss to wait for employees to go to work. What virtues and abilities do I have? Am I worthy of your waiting? Since you want to hear it, I'll praise you. The male voice was a little more lazy now. Giving you this opportunity naturally represents recognition of you. Not only are you the player with the highest points in the game, you are also the player with the most honors, medals, and trophies. This is a hard result. There is no doubt that you are excellent. The fact that you have gained full favorability from multiple NPCs fully demonstrates your personality, charm, and ability to deal with people. Although your approach of killing the NPC right away is a bit reckless, it is impressive. People who are decisive and not procrastinating are exactly what our position needs. You have a clear distinction between good and evil, hate evil as much as hatred, and have a full sense of right and wrong, which is surprising. The perseverance and endurance of not giving up easily and trying the highest number of times in a single level are even more admirable. The team you lead will be the best in terms of mission plot and final results. We naturally value your leadership. The team you lead has put collective interests first many times, and this overall view is also what we need. In the game, we test and observe you the most among all players. We created a lot of difficulties and used various means to test your bottom line. Your performance was outstanding. Human nature is greedy. Faced with the tests we set, you have stuck to your heart every time. The most impressive thing is the fairy tale world. You can easily complete 2 side tasks. You clearly have a choice that is more beneficial to you, but you gave it up in order to maintain the plot of the NPC world. For us, this is called the true worldview. We need administrators like this to help us maintain the balance of world order. You are our best choice.